Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I have a very, very special guest, and her name is Morgan. Hello, Morgan. Welcome.
Hi.
So I don't want to say too much about her yet, so we're just going to jump right into the interview, and you guys are going to learn the more questions that I ask her. All right, so Morgan, welcome. First things first, can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, some of the things you like to do for fun, how old you are, anything you want to share?
I just turned 20 recently, like a month ago. I am 6'2", so I'm a tall girl. And the stuff that I like to do for fun is playing softball. That's my sport. Basketball. And I like to shop. I just got new shoes. I'm pretty sure she saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what were the shoes again, Morgan? Can you tell everybody what kind of shoes you like?
I like Nike shoes, Jordans. Yeah, mostly those type of shoes just because they're more styled, and like Adidas isn't really styled to me just because like they're gym shoes. But Yeezys are the most styled ones that I know that are from Adidas. I don't have any, but I think I'm gonna get one. But mostly Nike and Jordans.
Okay, cool. See, I'm not a big shoe person, kind of, but where would you go if you're buying shoes, Morgan? Like, where's a good place to get those type of shoes? Just curious.
I mean, there's a good shoe place here in New Orleans, which is 2 hours away from me. So I might go there sometime when I can, just, with my schedule and everything. So I'm going to probably go there and
Okay,
shop shoes.
very cool. So as you guys can tell, she's not in Arizona, right? Where are you again, Morgan?
I'm in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Awesome.
I attend Southern Mississippi.
Okay, and she's there for college, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sweet. Morgan, you mentioned that you were 6'2". So I know you're very tall, and I know you told me a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, how tall are you? Do you play basketball? And I know for a tall person, sometimes that gets a little irritating. Can you tell me a little bit about that and being 6'2", the pros, the cons?
Yeah, it's very irritating when people ask me a lot of questions just about my height. They would ask me, how tall are you? And like, do you play basketball? Like, every tall athlete or woman does not play basketball. They can play volleyball, they can play soccer, they can play softball. Just seeing, like, it just annoys me how many questions I get, from how tall are your parents and all that. Just, but
Yeah.
asking me how tall I am and saying I'm 6'2" is fine. But once they go further than that, it's like very annoying. Like, just drop it.
Because in a way, Morgan, you're being treated differently based on your height. Like, you're no different. Like, even though I'm 5'7", you're 6'2", we're both people, we're both females, right? So maybe do you think people ask you that because they don't see a lot of tall people and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't see a lot of people your height. Like, you're so different. Do you think that's why people maybe think that, or?
I mean, there is not a lot of there is a lot of tall women in this world, but just not like from other people's perspective. They probably haven't seen a lot of tall women. So that's probably why they ask me so many questions about my height. It's fine if they ask me questions. It gets annoying for me.
Yeah.
As a tall person. So, I mean, I'm used to it, but yeah.
Okay, so if for people listening, what is some advice? What do you wish that people would do instead of saying like, "Oh, do you play basketball? How tall are your parents?" If somebody sees a tall person out on the street, and what should we do instead of like drilling them with 10,000 questions, about their height?
You can ask how tall I am just because, they want to know the exact height I am. And also, I would prefer people to ask, what sport do you play? Instead of, do you play basketball?
Instead of assuming, right? Instead of just assuming, oh, you're tall, you play volleyball or basketball.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say, like, what sport do you play? And then their questions lead to the sport instead of my height, Just because if I say softball, they're like, oh, what position do you play? Like, they keep asking about my sport. I love talking about my sport. And so, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Morgan. So, leading into the sports part, if you guys didn't know, Morgan is a D1 athlete. She's a softball player, but I'll let her tell a little bit more about that. So, my next question for you is, how old were you when you first started playing sports? Is it something you've always wanted to do? Did your parents put you into it? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Um, I started playing sports at a young age. Um, I don't know when exactly I started, but I did ballet around like 3, 4, 5 years old. And then I did soccer after that. I only did ballet for 1 year. And then soccer, I played for like a long time, like from probably age 6 to 13. I
Okay.
played basketball around that time too. And I started playing softball at age of 8. And that's pretty much it. And my parents put me into the sport because well, my brother and my sister started playing sports at a young age too. So
Mhm.
they just want us to have something to do with our lives, like how to make friends.
Yeah.
And because you make friends through sports.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
um
Sports teach you a
just
lot.
to see yeah just to see if we would enjoy it for the rest of our lives or something like that. Yeah, I'm glad that they put me into sports, so just because
Definitely.
it's my thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Morgan. Have you always wanted to play softball at a competitive level? Like at the level that you're at now? Did you always want to do this?
No, I have not actually. When I started playing softball, well, and other sports, I was playing sports for fun.
Hmm.
um I thought I was going to be playing basketball or soccer for like the rest of my life, I guess, because I liked those sports more than softball at a young age. Then when
Mm.
I moved to Arizona at age of 13, I was put into a different position, which is a pitcher. I played like third base. I played everywhere. Everywhere. I was a utility player as a young player. Um, and then I just played softball for fun when I moved to Arizona, and I started off with a local team, and then I moved to a different team. Well, local team, like they didn't travel as much, so I moved to a different team because I want to play softball during the summer. And I moved to that team around the spring of 2014. And then I traveled with them. I didn't know anything about colleges or whatever until this coach went to one of my games and he's like, "That's my girl. I want her." And so my parents were talking to him because he asked around the parents and asked, "Who's this girl? Whose daughter is this?" So then my parents put me in with him and played for him when I joined 8th grade. And then I went to my first showcase, my first visit to Baylor. Our first showcase was in Texas. So we did our visit to Baylor, which is near it. And I loved visiting Baylor, and that coach was really nice, and that's how it got me into playing softball for the rest of my life. Well, not the rest of my life, but like for the future.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So
Very cool. Awesome, Morgan. So, yep. So, you guys, she's a very good softball player. I watched some of your highlights before. She is a pitcher. I know. And that's one advantage, right, of being tall. Being a pitcher, you want to be tall, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it worked out for your benefit for the best. So, moving along. So I heard through some other interviews, other different sources that I found on you. Right, I kind of sound like I'm a creeper, like I was stalking you. But I heard that you were born deaf. Is this true?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
It is. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit how you found out you were deaf? How your parents found out that you were deaf? Like, how did you know?
So I didn't know. Well, I mean, I was so young. My parents found this out, not me.
Okay.
Um, so I wasn't talking at all when I was a young girl. Like you're supposed to start talking at like 2 or 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, my mom would be calling my name Morgan, Morgan or something. I would turn around, but out of nowhere, just because I turned around and I looked at my mom, so she couldn't tell, but like I wasn't speaking and I also wasn't responding to my parents. You know, like if they called my name, I wouldn't turn around, but that time was just a random turnaround. So like I just looked at her and she didn't realize it or whatever.
Yeah.
But so moving on, I wasn't speaking, so they were like, I don't understand, why isn't she speaking? So
Hmm.
they took me around like to doctors and all that, trying to get me checked out.
How
And
old were
some
you?
doctor
Sorry to interrupt, Morgan, but how old were you? Do you remember like when your mom realized, your mom and dad realized you weren't speaking? Were you like 1, 2, 3, like when they were?
two,
Okay.
2.5.
Okay. Gotcha.
So where was I at?
You said they were taking you to doctors.
Oh yeah,
You
doctors.
weren't talking. Okay.
Okay. They took me to doctors and they were like, oh, she's fine, blah, blah, blah. And then they took me to this doctor in Wisconsin, which is not far away from where I lived. I lived in Gurnee, Illinois, Libertyville, around the area. And um, the doctor did the tests and I did this puzzle. He put this puzzle in front of me. It's like this thing where there's like animals and you put the animal on the like there was an animal picture on it and you just put the animal over the animal or whatever.
Oh, like
It
in the
was like a
correct
pub.
spot.
Yeah, like you put it in the right spot. And
Okay.
then they took me to the beeping test. That's where they put headphones in my ears and they would play the beep whenever they want to. I was just randomly clicking the button out of nowhere just because I was playing with it. So they were like, "Oh yeah, she can't hear." So I
Oh.
had surgery at 2.5, and I got a cochlear implant. That's what it's called, a cochlear implant, not hearing aids or anything. This is a different name because hearing aids are made for people who have partial hearing. I'm 100% deaf.
Oh, okay.
So I have a cochlear implant. So I had a surgery because they had to apply some magnet with a wire, and like the wire goes inside my cochlea. My cochlea isn't formed all the way, so that's why I couldn't hear because it's not formed all the way.
Oh.
So and then now I wear a cochlear implant, and it has this wire connected to a magnet, and the magnets stick together, the one inside my head and the one outside of my head. And so this one has connected to wire, and there's a microphone in front of it. So when you talk to the microphone, I can hear what you're saying.
Oh.
So then
Wow.
I
Okay.
didn't start talking right after that surgery because it's like I was born again. So I had to go to a special school called Child's Voice. It was like an hour or and a half or 2 hours away from my house.
Hmm.
So I have this cab driver who would take me to school and home from school every day. And my school probably was like for hours. I was there all day.
Mm.
So that's how that school helped me with my language and how to speak.
Wow. That is, I literally just learned so much, Morgan. My mind is like, wow. Yeah. And thank you for clearing it up because, yeah, maybe people watching, you didn't know the difference between hearing aids. And say it one more time. How do you pronounce it? What you have?
A cochlear implant.
Cochlear implants. Okay. Gotcha. I've never heard of that. So, wow. Dang. Yeah. I've learned so much. And then question, did your, this got me thinking when you said you were like born again, did your parents notice like a huge difference when you had this surgery? Were you more reactive and like were you really different after the surgery?
I don't know. I haven't actually asked my parents that question.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I probably did because there's other videos of, children having their hearing aids on the first time, on social media. And they'll be like, oh, eyes open wide or like they're smiling or whatever. I probably was confused.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
probably was confused because I was like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
type of thing. I
I know.
probably was confused.
I can't imagine. That's why that question came to me. I'm like, wow, I wonder how you acted, Morgan. I wonder if your eyes were wide and you're like, oh my
I
gosh, like,
think my eyes were wide, but I was confused at the same time.
okay, got you. So, another question leading into that, is it still hard for you to hear sometimes? Do you have to read lips or can you hear perfectly fine now?
It is difficult at times. Um, I'm used to my parents, well, my family's voices, so I don't have to be reading their lips as much just because I'm used to listening to them. I lived with them and, all that. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to talking with other people,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on their voice. If their voice is clear and like easy to hear, I can hear them without reading lips. But if they're like mumbling or whatever, like, I read lips just because it's a habit.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, like, if some people talk different and I have to read their lips. And sometimes people don't even move their lips as much. So I
Yeah.
actually have to like focus on hearing what they're saying.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
just like with people wearing masks, that is a huge difficult for me.
Wow, yeah. No, that's such a good point, Morgan. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, because this is actually the next question I was going to ask you are what are some obstacles for you? So this is perfect. This is leading right into it. So what have you done to adapt with people wearing masks? Do you ever have to say, "Hey, can you speak
Just
up a little bit?" or "Hey, I can't hear you. Speak up." Do you ever tell people that or
I just well certain people I'm just like I can't hear you, like I don't even know what you're saying. And like even though they try to speak up after me saying what so many times, I just be like, "I'll back off," and you can just pull it down and talk to me because we have to be 6 feet away, so I'll just back off.
yeah,
Um, and certain people, I'll just be like, "What?" and I'll put my ear very close to the person's head. Well, not very close, but
like
like
listening?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then I'll be like, "Can you repeat that again, please?" And they'll say it, and I'm like, "I know what they're saying."
mhm.
So, I mean, it's for me, it's just really, it's very challenging, but I'm not used to it. But like, I have to really focus on listening,
Yeah.
not visualizing people's lips.
Mm.
So,
Do you ever think, because I know Morgan, remember that TikTok that you posted and you said you sleep a lot? Do you ever think you sleep a lot because you're always hyper focused? And I'm sure that's exhausting. Don't you think so? Like, do you think that's a reason
I
I
just sleep a lot because I'm with softball, working out, and doing schoolwork. I'm always exhausted, so
yeah.
I just sleep a lot in general.
Okay, I
Just
was like,
not
"Wait,
that though.
maybe this is why." Okay.
No,
That's funny.
I'm used to it.
Okay.
I'm used to it, so like it's not exhausting at all.
Okay, so for you it's like second nature. You've been doing it all your life, so
Yeah.
okay, cool. Are there any other big obstacles that you've had to face, like with softball, just in life in general that you want to share?
In school, I'm always having to sit in front of the class. I need a note taker, because I don't catch everything what the teacher is saying. So I have
Mm,
a note taker to like write down the important parts of what the teacher is saying because I don't realize what's important, what she's saying, or what is important of what she's teaching. Um, and I have to watch videos. Those are closed captioned because I don't even hear the TV, like the TV shows or movies. I have to have closed captioning just
oh,
because they don't have this camera on whoever's speaking all the time.
yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So, and there's always background noises while there's someone talking too. So that's why I have to have closed captioning. Even when I go to movie theaters, I have to get asked the front desk for a captioner. And then other obstacles, softball, I would say the umpire, like, he has to say strike or ball, but like I know when it's a ball when he doesn't do this.
Mm,
So, and then communicating with my teammates, I'm always just looking at the first baseman or third baseman. If there was something said from the coach and from the dugout, like
Mhm.
let's say we're gonna crash on a bunt, they would do like crash, like this means go, like crash, and this means slow down, like stay or whatever. That
Oh,
crash, like hand signals.
do you know
Just
sign
like
language, Morgan? Do you know sign
no,
language?
I don't.
Okay. Okay.
No, I
But
was, I was, I was. I've nobody in my family is deaf. It's
okay.
all hearing family.
Mhm.
So I have to actually learn how to speak and hear at the same, well, hear, just because I have no one in my family who's deaf too, and I don't think my parents realize that I need to do sign language or whatever. But I almost did it in high school because I had to do a foreign language,
Mm.
but I did it too late and everything, but like my high school just like stumped me from doing foreign language, so I got to graduate with no years of foreign language. And
Oh,
my major is not required for me to take foreign language. Because foreign language is really hard for me. Like, I don't even understand.
mm.
Because I'm used to English, so I
Yeah.
have to hear English. If people would say Spanish words, um, it's really hard for me to listen. Just
Yeah.
because, yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine, Morgan. Man. But I mean, being around you and stuff, it seems like you adapt, you adjust really well. Like it doesn't really bother you, right? You just know, okay, this is how it is, so this is what I need
Yeah.
to do to hear. Yeah, you have a
Yeah.
good mindset, I've noticed about it. You have a really good
Yeah.
mind. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that was so much awesome information. So I'm sure the people watching learned a lot too. I'm going to move on to the next question. Okay, we talked about the obstacles. Oh, this is a good one, Morgan. Has anyone ever treated you differently since you're deaf? Like, do people ever like say hello, Morgan, or just act weird, or you know what I mean? Like, are people ever annoying about that? Or
Yes, there's lots
you're
of
nodding
people,
your
yeah. I
head.
mean, um, there are people who talk like, hello, so are you going to this or whatever? I'm like, you'll need to speak that loud. And it's actually harder for me to understand the person when
Mhm.
they talk like that.
Like if they're screaming or Morgan, can you hear me? Hello, no, no. Like if they're being louder, right?
Well, if they're louder, it doesn't make a difference, but if you talk soft, like,
Mhm.
hello, how are you doing? I have to tell them to speak louder. But
Okay.
people who like talk slower, like, hello, I'm going to do this. That is actually harder for me to hear the person because they're talking so slow and it's just not in a good pace.
I get you. Okay. So, do you
So,
ever, Morgan, is it ever like uncomfortable for you to ask people like, "Hey, can you talk faster?" or "Hey, can you talk louder?" or does it not bother you? You just know you have to. Like, do people ever get offended if you say that? You know what I mean?
yeah, I only ask certain people to do that. So, like, if they were a doctor or a teacher or just someone who works or something and it's important, I guess, I
Oh,
do that. When it comes to making friends and like meeting new people,
mm-hmm.
I just go with it,
Mm.
and I just know to not, well, I know this is rude, but like I try not to make friends with them just because
Mm.
they, like if there was certain people who, like, let's say this guy was trying to be friends with me, but he has such a strong French accent and I cannot understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, and then I have always have to keep saying what. And then like after that, I never met up with him again because I just can't deal with that again.
Yeah, it's
So
really
I just
hard
know
for
he's not the right person to be friends with.
I
Just
see.
because I have to be friends with people who I understand and they'll understand me.
Yeah. Wow. And then if you don't really know them, you don't really want to tell them your whole life story, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. You don't, everybody you meet, you don't want to have to explain. You need to talk like this because sometimes you just kind of go with it, right? And see, okay,
Yeah.
I can hit it off, and too, if you generally vibe with the person, if you like them, right? You guys are nice to each other, you get along, all those factors too.
Yeah. And like making certain friends, like I was saying,
Mhm.
let's say like they did have a good voice, they're really nice to me and all that, and we like vibe really well. I will tell them about this uh, like later on. Like
Oh,
I don't tell people right away
oh,
about it.
yeah, I see. Okay. Is there a reason you don't tell them right away, Morgan? I'm just curious.
Just because I don't know if they'll judge me or not. Because when I was little, I did tell people right away about it, and they'll like bully me and all that. So that's why I learned to just like see if I vibe with the person right
Yeah.
first before I even like trust them and like have a, like all that.
Yeah, the good thing is though, Morgan, if they have a problem with that, then they shouldn't be in your life anyway. They don't deserve to be your friend if they're going to judge,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So,
yeah.
but I like to vibe with the person first,
Hmm.
and then I'll tell them later on.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much for sharing all that.
yeah.
We're going to kind of switch gears here and talk about your sport. So let's see. Next question. Okay, so since, like I mentioned earlier, you're a D1 athlete, and not many people can say that they have made it this far as an athlete. How did you become a D1 athlete? Do you want to talk about maybe being like a senior in high school, the recruiting process, or how did you become a D1 athlete, pretty much?
So when I first played softball, well, having showcases and everything in eighth grade, I practiced 4 times a week, 5 times a week, pitching and all that. Um, I practiced a lot and a lot and a lot, and I got my first offer the summer before my sophomore year. I was actually committed to
Wow, you got it
Kansas.
early. I didn't realize you had it that early.
No,
Dang.
I had it early. I
That's
had three offers. Kansas was my actual dream school.
awesome.
When I was in eighth grade, a freshman year, I wanted to go to Kansas, and I was committed there. And then they got a new coach during my senior year, but so I mean, like I didn't really have a recruiting process throughout high school, but I kind of did because when I was committed, there was other colleges who were watching, and so that's how I got offers before my when I decommitted from Kansas.
Okay.
So I mean, you have to put the work in, and you just have to trust the process, and you always have to have a good attitude.
Hmm.
That's the biggest part because there's a lot of people who don't have a good attitude. Like they'll throw their bat down or something. Colleges don't want that.
Yeah.
They want to see a positive attitude and being there for your teammates. Um, Communicating is the biggest part. Um, just yeah, you have to put the work in, and you
Hmm.
just have to have a good attitude.
Were your stats pretty good too in high school, Morgan? Did you have pretty good stats? So that's why you were looked at by some of the big colleges?
No, not high school. It's mostly from club.
Oh, from
Every sport's different with recruiting.
okay.
So
Got
when it's softball, it comes through club ball mostly.
okay. I didn't realize that. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Let's see. Moving on. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your daily routine? So basically being a college athlete, being a D1 athlete, how does it look, Morgan? Like do you have to get up early, go work out, then go to school, then go to practice? Like how does your schedule look? I know it's really busy.
So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning for 6 a.m. weights.
Mm,
And then, well, I get ready really slow, so that's why I have to get up earlier. There's some people who wake up earlier and they just put their clothes on and they are ready to go.
yeah,
But for me, I have to get ready, and I
kind of
have to
wake
put my
yourself up.
hearing on, and
Hmm.
I have to put tape on my piercing right here, because our coach doesn't let us wear piercings or jewelry on the field or in weights. So I have to put tape over this. And I put my headband on just because, like I sweat. So I have to wear a headband. And then putting mask on. And that's why it takes me a while to get ready. So I get up earlier and, it just makes me feel better to get up earlier anyway, just because I have more time to get ready.
Yeah.
Instead of rushing. And then after that, there's treatment every day. You can go to it anytime. It's from 8 to 9:15 a.m. Every day. We have a certain time because of COVID.
What is the treatment like? Is it like icing? What you said treatment? Can you explain?
Oh, I get treatment on my back.
Oh, okay.
I got back problems. I use stem. I use a roller. I stretch with bands, and I do cupping, like all those things.
That's good. Yeah.
And then every Tuesday at 2:00, I go to chiropractor.
Ooh, okay.
And then every day I have practice from 3 to 4:15. And it's individuals. That's gonna get changed. It was supposed to be changed already, but right now in quarantine. So we're quarantining right now. So but our practices are now gonna be from 2:30 to 5:30, and they're gonna be practice, like team practices instead of individuals.
Okay.
So yeah, and there's that, and then I have class through Zoom from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. every Wednesday and Friday. It's not mandatory, but I go to it just because I learn better from the teacher explaining, all that.
Yeah.
And then every night on Monday from 7 to 9:45, I have a lab for chemistry. My biology lab is virtual, so I don't have to go to the lab. But that's the only class I have to go in person. And then I either do homework or nap or in my open times.
Yeah.
And sometimes late at night, we would do team bonding, like for dinner and all that. My weekends look like sometimes I put in the work by myself. I would run around my apartment complex just because I want to keep myself active and everything. And my recovery would be like nothing to do, which would be like Sundays.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it.
Man, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think people realize like being a college athlete, like how much time that takes up. Because I could relate with you a lot because I played sports in college too. And it's funny, you said in your off time you just want to nap. I remember, Morgan, like sometimes I would have like even 30 minutes off and I would be like, great, I'm going to take a 30-minute nap. Do you ever do that too? Just try to like squeeze in sleep where you can? Or no, you don't do that? Oh, okay.
I nap right after practice.
Okay, so how
As long as I want.
Oh, okay. So right when you're done, then you're just gonna nap. You don't like squeeze.
Yeah, because waking up at 5 a.m. gets me really tired. So
Yeah.
like I mostly nap right after practice on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just because I woke up really early.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. It sounds like you have a really good routine though. It's really disciplined, really organized. Awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I have a couple more questions for you. So right now you guys are technically in your off season, right? Is this your off season? So yeah, my question, you kind of talked about your schedule, but I was asking what was your schedule like during off season, which this is your off season. So this kind of answers the question. You don't ever really get an off season as an athlete, right? As a D1 athlete, because you're always working out.
Yeah. So my off-season schedule is the schedule that I just explained to you earlier. So that's my off-season schedule. We don't really have an off-season because we're actually working really hard and we are practicing a lot to prepare for season. So we don't have off-season really. I guess off-season it's still part of season. Like that's how I think of it, because our season is in the spring, our schedules are totally different, but off season it's just more like practice and working out and preparing you for the spring when we have games.
Yeah.
My season, I never had a season here yet, but last year at Arizona State, our season looked like we had weights 2 times a week or once a week, and we would have conditioning once a week, and we would have off days Monday, and we would have games. It depends on what games you're playing, but if you're playing non-conference, you would be playing like 5-day tournament, which
Wow.
is a long time.
Yeah.
So, which is why we get Mondays off, because we're playing on the weekends too. And then we would play conference. We play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and
Wow.
it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of practice. I mean, it's a lot of practice because we have games coming up, and we're trying to, and a lot of film,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of yeah, just a lot of that basically during season, just because they want us they we practice to prepare for that weekend.
Gotcha. So Morgan, the only time that you're ever off, what about right when the school year is about to end and you guys are done with your softball season? Do you get a few weeks off and then you have to start working out in the summer? Or like even all summer, are you pretty much working out too? Like, are you just always working out? Do you ever
Um,
say, I'm going to just relax and not work out for like a month or anything? Or no?
um, Depends on the person actually.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches, well, you can have an off season during the summer as long as you want,
Mm-hmm.
but coaches expect you to come back to school to be ready for practice and lifting and all that. So for me, I take a month off,
Mm-hmm.
and I still work out a little bit, like just to keep my body active. But pitching, I take a month off because it's good for our shoulders to like rest.
Yeah.
So, but during club ball, when I was in high school, I only had 2 weeks off instead of a month. But now that I'm in college, we don't have like summer ball or whatever. I mean, we do now, but I would say like I get a month off because I need rest on my shoulder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some people aren't hardworking, some people are. So,
Mm-hmm.
some people like take the whole summer off, and they like start practicing again, like maybe 2 or a week before we get back to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's some people who are hardworking, they want to keep themselves going, and they still want to be practicing before we get back to school again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends on the person.
Okay. Yeah, but it's definitely people that are listening. If you want to be a D1 athlete, there's definitely a 4-year commitment, right? You're committed those 4 years to your sport. But even though it seems
Yeah.
like a lot, Morgan, you wouldn't wish it any other way, right? Like you really love it, don't you? Generally, just love being a college athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I have one last question for you. It says, do you have any advice for anyone who's trying to become a competitive athlete just like you? So like if there's somebody watching, and they're like, man, I really want to be a D1 athlete. What would you say to them, Morgan? What's some advice you would give them? Maybe on how to get there, your mentality, anything that you would like to say to them that comes to the top of your mind?
I would just say, and enjoy your sport. Like you can't force yourself to do a sport that you don't like and play in college just because whatever.
Mm,
I would say make sure you love that sport and make sure you like, if that's what you want to do for the rest of your like rest of high school and college.
yeah.
And making sure like you put the work in if you want to be a D1 athlete, and because grind never stops.
Yeah.
Um, and then just making sure you have a positive attitude, with everybody, and making sure you're staying out of trouble too.
Yeah.
Just like you have to stay out of trouble, and making sure like you're clean before you go to college. Just because like if you do something that's not good, the colleges can say you can't come here anymore. You know what I mean?
You get kicked out.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, just mostly putting the work in and like making sure you're working out and practicing, and yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that stood out to me is you said you have to love your sport. And I'll admit, I did sports in college, but deep down, at the end of the day, looking back now, because I do acting, I realized I didn't really love those sports. Like me personally, this is my story. I was always doing sports for the sake of, oh, you know, for my coaches, for my parents. And that is so true. So, Morgan, I think that's some of the best advice you can give somebody. You really have to love what you do, because if you don't, you're not going to want to wake up every day and work hard. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like my sister, like I was saying with my sister, she wasn't feeling it anymore, but her passion is art.
Yes.
So like she loves art. See, she's doing something that she loves. So like I would recommend you to do something that you love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. This like topic just gets me so pumped because it's so true. All right, well, guys, that was all for the interview. Thank you so much, Morgan. I'll put her, if you want TikTok, right? I can put your TikTok, Morgan, all that stuff, your Instagram, Facebook, if they want to go follow you. I can put it down below. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. So I'll put all that down below if you guys want to go check Morgan out on Instagram. By the way, this girl, she has a lot of followers, so go check out her Instagram. All right?
I'm not famous.
Yeah, she's going to be famous, so go follow her now while you can. All right, and make sure you guys subscribe for more interviews and more fun videos. Thanks, guys.
Bye.